Feeding a fuel line into the main diesel tank. What could possibly go wrong? Good morning and welcome back to Scooby D. It's early February and it's a frosty, sunny morning, 2 degrees. Today we're heading over to my mate Rob, who's a mechanical engineer, to do the final, last kind of main job, let's say, in the van build, which is to feed the diesel heater into the actual fuel tank. We were going to do this 2 weeks ago, however, stupid me forgot to empty the tank. In fact, I filled it up a few days before, which would have meant lowering the tank would have been 65, 70 litres, 70 kilos of weight. So I've waited 2 weeks and we're going back to do it this morning, and hopefully it shouldn't be a big job. No other big jobs to do in the van, fingers crossed, and we'll be all set for the journey, myself and Scooby, to Spain at the beginning of March. Looking forward to that. So we did the install of the main diesel heater 2 weeks ago, and the reason I haven't filmed that is because there's lots of them online, people showing you how to do that in much more detail than I would. I am, however, showing you the install of the feed to the fuel tank because I didn't see any online showing this, particularly not the Volkswagen Crafter. There's a couple of Sprinter ones online. So I've used the diesel heater a couple of times to test it out, and it seems to work well. It says it's a 5k diesel heater, but I would say it's more like 2 to 3k. But it certainly warms the van up. Within 20 minutes you're feeling, I think I've got the wrong turning. Within 20 minutes you're feeling pretty toasty. Half an hour it's risen the temperature by 10 degrees. And it seems to use up, as a quick guess at the moment, I would say for every couple of hours, if the heater's on full power, it probably uses up about a litre. There he is there. There's our Robski. He's our man today.
Alright.
Alright mate, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Guess what?
You've been filmed.
You've been to see the shopkeeper, Mr. Ben, and you've turned up as Bob the Builder today then, Rob. It's so bright you're burning out the camera. So before you do any job in the UK, particularly on a frosty February morning, you've got to get the brews on. All about the tea. That's the answer to life, the universe, and everything else. Well, it's 42, but I love this. I absolutely love this. And to be able to make tea, stand up, don't have to cramp down like in the old campervan. So, look at this. You know when you buy a top and they sell you.
Cool, no worries. Nice one, cheers mate, appreciate it. I'll speak to you.
You know when you buy a top for your vlogs and then they sell you other stuff? Well, guess what I got caught up with? It's actually quite good, actually. I quite like it. On the subject of tea, check that out. Got a few tea caddies here to store. Nice big one too.
Go on then Dan, let's do some work.
So firstly we took the 6 screws out of the fuel inlet. You can see here there's 4 in the black and 2 on the door, and then there's 1 inside after you take the cover off. You can see the screw hole there. Oh yeah, so you got that. Obviously we jacked the van up. You don't have to go too high, just high enough to get clearance of the fuel tank here. Here we're putting a jack under the fuel tank so we can lower it down slowly. The idea is you lower it down not too far to begin with to make sure there's no wires caught and to check what's actually connected to the fuel tank.
bit of light up there.
So once we've lowered it down, you know, about 10 centimetres, we can have a feel around on top. We can take out the inlet for the fuel and the outlet, the reserve channel back, wherever it is, and also unclip the electrical wires. They're just on a clip there. I don't know if you can see it. You just pop your finger down and you pull out the wires. Once all that's done, don't forget to remove the foam, because that can stop the inlet pipe coming down. So remove that foam, and you'll also find a wire in there, which I think is for the fuel cap. That wire can be disconnected. Remember to connect it back up again though, otherwise you may get a fault on your dashboard. So we've had to take the tank completely out because we couldn't undo this main opening without a bit of force, actually, as you can see, just tapping it out there. Tried to do that in situ, but it wouldn't work. And you can see the auxiliary feed there, the inlet and the outlet, and the vans in hot and cold countries, they have an auxiliary feed, which would be for the aircon or the extra heater, this being the feed here. In order to know how low to go on the auxiliary fuel line for the diesel tank, I've measured with a tape measure in here to see how much fuel is left. Now my tank was on half of the empty, so half in the red, which would normally mean that, you know, you wouldn't be want to driving it any more than sort of 20 miles. Now, being half in the red gave me 4 centimetres of diesel left in this tank. So next up we've got the internal device on the worktop table, and we're looking at how we can connect the feed to the bottom of this device, and then also take a feed from the top to supply our diesel heater. Of course, you do want it 4 centimetres from the bottom, or perhaps a bit more, depending on, you know, how much fuel you want left in your tank. You don't want the heater to run the tank completely down. Here we've put a measuring device in the drill bit so we don't drill too far in, and then once we've drilled it out, we've got rid of all the plastic swarf by blowing through with an air compressor. Quite important you do this, you don't want to get it into the diesel. The pipe in, and there you have the actual fuel feed that came from the diesel heater. It came in the original packet. And we've connected that on using some black fuel line. So now that's all in place, the next job is to put the fuel tank back in and to wire the cable from the fuel tank to the bottom of the diesel heater. We're also going to put the fuel filter in, which is what we're doing here, lining that up. And then we're going to connect it to the diesel heater, which is already in. We've chosen a route over the heat shield here, or the exhaust. Right, so here we go. Here it is, the underside. I've got the fuel filter in. We've actually tied the inlet of the diesel heater. We've put a little cable tie on it to make sure it pulls away from the exhaust, because I noticed that was touching when I was testing it out, and that will burn through the nylon feed tube. So there it all is, and there's your air vent tucked away there, and your pump there. So now hopefully it will all, yeah. It's just following the wire along, and the fuel tank, of course, is over there. That's upside down now, isn't it? The fuel tank is there. Just going to quickly go inside the van show you the device as we've got it in situ. Okay, so down here, that's our diesel heater sitting under the driver's seat, all plugged in nice there. And I've got to make there's the outlet for the heat. I've just got to make a box for that. So, and then we're done. Must be time for a cup of tea. I'm just testing out the diesel heater now. Now I've filled up the it's going some little mufflers, silencers. They're not the quietest. I mean that's like a low kind of rumble there, but I think I'm going to get a motorcycle silencer to put on there just to, I think it'll take down that kind of jet engine sound. But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, let's see what the heater's doing. So we've got full bars there, which means, yeah, that's starting to warm up now. Yeah, that's pretty warm now. Well, that's not bad, is it? It's been going about 4 minutes since pumping it through, and we're good to go.